A few years ago, Mansutra had made a video about Bollywood targeting the movie Sultan, and he explained how Sultan was a bad movie. The 17-year-old me definitely agreed with the video, and I'll be honest, I enjoyed it. But now that I've watched a couple of movies, now that I've read a few books, and I have watched a few YouTube videos about movies and characters, my opinion on Sultan has changed. Though I agree with all the unrealistic story beats that Mansutra had pointed out, I still believe that Sultan as a character is Salman Khan's best. A typical Salman Khan film has Salman Khan in it. He might go by different names, he might be Radhe or he might be Chulbul Pandey, but at the end of the day, he is Salman Khan. Now let me just clarify that I am not including Bajrangi Bhaijaan because that does not fit the description, and Antim because I have not watched Antim yet. I am so sorry. In a Salman Khan movie, Sallu Bhai is the most righteous, most honest person ever. He can never do anything wrong. He can beat up 10 guys with his bare hands and not get a single scratch on his body. He never loses, and even if he does, that's a part of his plan. And of course, the heroine of the movie is already head over heels for him. But Sultan is not a typical Salman Khan movie. Now, why do I think so? A character whose journey is worth following is a character whose journey is full of ups and downs, a journey full of conflicts, both external and internal. And Sultan is one character who has had his fair share of downs and his fair share of conflicts. The movie has a scene in which Sultan is humiliated by a girl he's infatuated with. That's a rare for a Salman Khan movie because Sallu Bhai never gets rejected, but in this movie he does. Sultan uses that humiliation as motivation and he trains hard and hard and hard. Sure, he only trains for a few months and then goes on to defeat the guys who have been doing it since they were kids, and that's the unrealistic part, but that is not what I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to give you the reasons why I think it's a good movie. When we watch a sports film, be it biopic or in general, there is a basic structure. There is our character. He or she trains really hard to become the world champion. Then they become the world champion. After that, a conflict in the story arises. Something bad happens or maybe something good happens. Somehow they lose focus and they lose their title of champion. Then there is a redemption arc. They work hard again and reclaim the title of the champion. Pretty standard stuff. But here's where Sultan as a movie differs, because the conflict of Sultan is not an external conflict but an internal one, his own ego. Sultan loses his newborn baby because he leaves for a tournament and his baby does not get the blood transfusion needed to save its life. Had it been the other way around, that is, Sultan stops fighting after his baby dies, then decides to come back to fighting as a tribute to his baby, it would have been a standard and a decent film. But the fact that Sultan's conflict is not external but internal is what makes the movie great for me. His baby's death can be considered as an external factor, but if you really look into it, it's Sultan's own fault, the guilt of which leads him to quitting wrestling. In Sultan, there is pain, there is depression, and there is a longing for forgiveness from his wife and from himself. Sultan is a character who is in pain, whose own pride has led to his downfall. Sultan's vow to never let anyone else go through what he went through is what brings him back to wrestling. He doesn't fight to prove anything to anyone, he only fights so that he can afford a blood bank in his village. Now, I don't consider Sultan to be one of the greatest movies ever made, but if we look into Bollywood, Sultan's story, the story of the character of Sultan, is one of the very good stories Bollywood has to offer. And when it comes to Salman Khan, I think Sultan is Salman Khan's best. Thank you very much.